Welcome to the 2019 Annual Safety Meeting. In this lesson, we'll be talking about student pickup and drop-off. Student pickup and drop-off is one of the most dangerous things we have to do as school transportation professionals. As you guys know, when you pull your bus up, you have 1,000,001 things going on, and we got to get the kids off the bus safely, but we also got to worry about traffic. We got to worry about making sure the kids get off the bus, get far enough away from the bus. We got to make sure our crossers get across. So it's something that we definitely have to make sure that we're always vigilant, paying attention to what's going on around us, and know when to make the right recommendations to change a stop, or at least have your transportation directors, supervisors, routers come out and see and have an understanding of anything that you may have wrong with your stop. Now, loading and unloading locations. We at the Department of Education still recommend that you take your school bus as far right as practical. This may be signed back into law, but currently, as I produce the annual safety meeting, is still just a recommendation. But we do recommend you take your bus as far right as practical. Indiana Code 9-13-2-73, highway or street. Highway or street means the entire width between the boundary lines of every publicly maintained way when any part of the way is open to the use of the public for the purposes of vehicular travel. The term includes an alley in a city or town. Indiana Code 9-13-2-157, roadway. Except as provided in subsection B, roadway means that part of a highway improved, designed, or ordinarily used for vehicular travel. As used in Indiana Code 9-21-12-13, roadway means the part of the highway that is improved, designed, or ordinarily used for vehicular travel. The term does not include the sidewalk, berm, or shoulder, even if the sidewalk, berm, or shoulder is used by persons riding bicycles or other human-powered vehicles. Lights on your school bus. Indiana Code 9-21-12-14, school bus directional signal. Before a driver changes the direction of a school bus, the driver should use a directional signal to indicate the change at least 100 feet before the driver turns. Indiana Code 9-21-12-15, school bus flashing lights. The driver of a school bus shall use flashing lights as prescribed by the State School Bus Committee to give adequate warning that the school bus is stopped or about to stop on the roadway to load or unload a student. Now, according to the Indiana State School Bus Committee, adequate warning is 200 to 500 feet. But as all you guys know, that's going to change from place to place. If you're picking up on a state highway or a really busy roadway, you might have to give upwards to 1,000 feet of notice that you're going to stop the school bus. So even though 200 to 500 is the recommendation, it's going to be even more on a case-by-case basis. Stop arm use. Indiana Code 9-21-12-13, school bus arm signal device. Except as provided in subsection B, or when a school bus is stopped at an intersection or another place where traffic is controlled by a traffic control device or a police officer, or whenever a school bus is stopped on a roadway to load or unload a student, the driver shall use an arm signal device which must be extended while the bus is stopped. So you always want to make sure anytime you picking up or dropping off that you are using your stop arm. Now, an exception to this would be Part B. The governing body of a public school may authorize a school bus driver to load or unload a student at a location off the roadway that the governing body designates as a special school bus loading area. The driver is not required to extend the arm signal device when loading or unloading a student in the designated area. What they're talking about in that situation is if your school district approved for you to pick up a child or drop a child off completely on the shoulder, and that child is not a crosser, she or a young man is running straight up his or her driveway, then all you would have to use is your four-way hazards. But again, that must be designated by your school corporation, and your bus cannot be on the roadway at all if you were conducting that stop. Now, stop arm all vehicles. Indiana Code 9-21-12-1, arm signal device, duty to obey presumption. A person who drives a vehicle that meets or overtakes from any direction a school bus stopped on a roadway and is not stopped before reaching the school bus when the armed signal device specified in Indiana Code 9-21-12-13 is in the device's extended position, or proceeds before the armed signal device is no longer extended, commits the offense described in Section 9 of this chapter. This section is applicable only if the school bus is in substantial compliance with the markings required by the state school bus committee. So one thing to keep in mind with regards to your stop arm, let's say you have a forward and a rear stop arm. You pull up to a stop to pick kids up or drop kids off. You scan your mirrors and you see that one of your stop arms is not working. In that situation, you have to terminate the stop because you are no longer in compliance. Same thing with your lights. If your lights are not working when you're picking up and dropping off, once again, you're not in compliance. So you always want to make sure that when you're picking up and dropping off, you scan in your mirrors to make sure all your equipment is properly working. Now, Section C, there is a rebuttal presumption that the owner of the vehicle involved in the violation of this section committed the violation. This presumption does not apply to the owner of a vehicle involved in the violation of this section if the owner routinely engages in the business of renting the vehicle for periods of 30 days or less. So let's review safe practices with regards to pickup and drop-offs. First of all, I cannot express the importance of knowing your school district policy. You guys in your communities are the professionals when it comes to pickup and drop-offs. So always refer to your school district policy. But the information I'm going to cover is just some things to look at with regards to your pickup and drop-offs daily. So your morning pickup. You want to activate your amber warning lights 200 to 500 feet in advance of the passenger stop. On higher speed roads, even longer advance notice. Come to a complete stop. We recommend utilizing the neutral park brake method, but it is not mandatory. That is up to each individual school district if they want to utilize that. If students have to cross, hold your left palm up to signal the students to wait. Activate your red lights. When safe, open door, signal students it's okay to cross, and then point in the direction they are walking to cross the street. Make sure they also look both ways to check for traffic. Count, watch, and recount students. When students are safe and seated, close the door, check all mirrors from left to right for students and traffic, and proceed slowly while checking for students. Afternoon runs statistically are the most dangerous. Again, you want to activate your amber warning lights 200-500 feet in advance of the passenger stop. Come to a complete stop. Activate your red lights. If students have to cross, remind them to walk away from the right front of the bus in full view of the driver, going past the extended bus crossing arm if you have that, and wait for the driver's signal. When safe, open the door. Remind students to look both ways while exiting the bus. Hold right palm up for students to wait, and when safe, signal students it's okay to cross and then point in the direction they are walking to cross the street. Make sure they also check for traffic. Students should stop before stepping away from the lane the bus is in. Count, watch, recount the students that have exited your bus. Close the door when students are in a safe area. So the kids that got off on that side, make sure they've gotten at least 10 feet away from the bus, and you maintain your count that all your kids are accounted for when you drop them off. Check all mirrors for students and traffic, and proceed slowly while checking for students. Now, buses crossing the road, it's illegal. You've probably seen this on social media, whether it was Facebook or Twitter or something like that, where school buses around the country cross the road to hold up traffic. So here's a video of a bus crossing the road. And I want you to watch this video and just pay attention to what this bus driver does. Here's a photo of a school bus going into the other lane of traffic because they want to make sure the kids are safe by blocking traffic. Here's the problem you run into this. It's completely illegal. And there's no school district in the state that has a policy that says it's okay to cross into the other lane of traffic. The car that you see, the red car here on the photograph, if that red car was to hit that school bus, not only could that red car sue the school district, but also the school bus driver can now be sued personally because they went way outside of what the policy said to do. And one of the problems with this whole situation is that you're giving that red car, even if they were intending to run the stop arm or whatever the case may be, you give that red car no options but to hit the bus or go down the right side of the bus where kids are boarding the school bus. Same thing in this situation right here. One thing I want you guys to think about is that this is not a one-time occurrence when you see this. If a bus driver typically does this, they do it at every stop. So when you think about it from that perspective, that means that those kids on that route are going head on into oncoming traffic probably anywhere from 2 to 8 or 9 times a day. I don't know any parent that would be okay knowing that their kids are on a bus that is going into oncoming traffic. So when you look at this illustration right here, look at the options that a bus driver gives that vehicle. Either hit the bus or go down the right side of the bus where students may be boarding. And I've heard situations where bus drivers say, well, you know what, it's about the safety of the kids crossing the road, and I'll just take the ticket. It can be so much more than a ticket if that bus get hit. And even though you're trying to protect the kids that are getting on board the bus, what about the kids that are already on the bus? What about their safety if that car that's not paying attention runs head on into that school bus? So no matter what your intent is, it is completely illegal and it's something you definitely should not be doing. For those of you that have to go through roundabouts, one thing you want to do in this situation is if you can drop the kid off before the roundabout or after you've completed the roundabout, that is the safest way. What you don't want to do is drop a kid off in the roundabout because you have traffic coming from different directions and they don't know what your intentions are. Also, you could see the situation where the red car could say, well, I didn't see the stop arms because of the angle they're coming at, and I definitely didn't see any red lights. So because we are the transportation professionals, if you are faced with this situation, always talk to your school district for a better way to do it. But also keep in mind, you can always contact the Indiana Department of Education Transportation Office to take a look at it as well. Here's another example of a school bus driver blocking an intersection for whatever reason to hold up traffic. But what if that gray car isn't paying attention or that red car isn't paying attention? Now you can see what could possibly happen to those children getting off the bus and the bus itself. Here's another example where a school bus driver is blocking a complete intersection in order to safely load or offload children. But again, it's something we need to be mindful of, that it's illegal and we're not allowed to do this. One thing to keep in mind in those illustrations we just looked at, the safety of our children is always paramount. But also keep in mind, your safety is important as well. And when you put yourself in the other lane of traffic, if somebody is not paying attention, you're probably going to be the first one to get hit. So it's illegal. It's something you definitely shouldn't be doing, because not only do we want our kids safe, we want our drivers safe as well. Loading convenience. Indiana Code 20-27-10-1, loading conveniences. To promote safety in school bus operations, school corporations shall cooperate with the civil divisions of local and state government to provide necessary loading and unloading conveniences as an accessory to public streets and highways. The cost of providing these conveniences shall be paid by the civil divisions of government. So what this law is for a turnaround to be built for your school bus on high-speed roads or dangerous roads. This law has been enacted by school corporations around the state, and a matter of fact, within the past year, there's a school district in northern Indiana that had a turnaround built for one of their school buses. So let's review. No matter your intentions, we can't fix problems by breaking the law ourselves. If your route has a stop that you feel isn't safe for the kids to load or unload, talk to your transportation about fixing it. That's the way we always did it, doesn't make it right or safe. Have a solution for an unsafe stop. Who better to fix an unsafe situation than the person who drives the route every day? This may require you to just pick up on right-hand stops if you can do that within a timely manner. But if you feel like a stop is unsafe and it can be done better, go in and make those suggestions to transportation. Review proper bus stop procedures with your students. Every day we should be talking safety with our students. And we can't fix the motoring public, but we need to ensure we're doing everything possible within the law to ensure our students are being transported safely. This concludes the 2019 Annual Safety Meeting on student pickup and drop-offs. Thank you for everything you do and for being the greatest bus drivers in the United States.